What's up, Internet? I made one of these, and it was kinda sorta a one-off thing, but then I kinda got another game I've never played and wanted to do a sort of preview type thing for, and, okay, I'm gonna stop lying entirely and just say, look, I've been working for 20 hours since this game came through my door, and I haven't played it, and I really, really, really want to play it. So, and I guess I have a couple more games coming that I kind of don't know anything about and I'd like to do a preview on. So I guess we'll turn this one off into like a mini series or something. I don't know. We'll wing it and figure it out as time goes on. It'll probably just be a thing when I can be asked to make, but maybe, if that. But here we are with a new game. Well, new. It came out last year. It's Gundam Breaker 3 Break Edition, which I had to order from China. Because, for whatever reason, this game, despite being an import no matter what way you get it, if you order it from China, it is somehow in English. I'm not entirely sure how that follows in terms of logic, but that's the case. Let's just cover everything else I know about this game beforehand. It's the sequel to Gundam Breaker 2, which is a game I have played and was on my Game of the Year list, so you can go back and watch that and figure out how I felt about it. Although, it's on my Game of the Year list, pretty self-explanatory. This is the Break Edition, which is essentially like a Game of the Year type thing where it's got a bunch of DLC already pre-installed on the disc, which is cool. And looking at the case, it also features SD Gundams, which is a first for the series, as well as the Barbatos, because I guess this was about the time IBO was starting to get popular. And I gotta say, if it does feature SD Gundams, they're either not playable, or if they are playable, they're going to be very stringent. And the Barbatos was kind of a lukewarm machine at best. I mean, let's just be honest. I'll say what we're all thinking. In terms of Gundam IBO, the best suit was very clearly the Grimgeared. The suit that showed up for 3 episodes for a grand total running time of, 3 minutes? Damn, that thing was awesome. Anyway, let's get into this. And, that is one other thing I know about this game, and that is, as a sequel to Gundam Breaker 2, you can actually import your save data. And I've done that. Although what that means specifically, I'm not entirely certain. I would think it means that I get to bring my previous Gundam over, but we'll figure it out as we go. I did start this up, but I haven't seen anything. I just had to go through a bunch of, agree to sell your child to Bandai for reasons because you get to play this game sort of agreements that no one ever reads. And I had to do that for about 5 minutes. That was fun. Seriously, why do these Bandai games have so many licensing agreements you have to just click through and not pay attention to? That's probably to prevent YouTube videos from existing. But there's a story in this one, which I assume there was in the previous one, but it was all in Japanese, so. And there's a reason I got really into Gundam Breaker 2 and Gundam Breaker 3 by extension, I guess, even though I haven't played it yet. And we'll just talk about that as the story runs on and I don't pay attention to it. And that is that I was a really big fan of Gundam vs. Zeta Gundam, which was basically Gotcha Force with Gundams. And while the Gundam vs. series has continued, in fact there's a brand new one getting released this very week, it has devolved from a game that has been about armies fighting armies to a 2-on-2 fighting game, and thus is very much not like Gundam vs. Zeta Gundam at all anymore. And thus Gotcha Force, whereas Gundam Breaker 2 was. Despite it being a big ad for Gunpla, the Gundam plastic models that I'm also kind of a fan of. Because this game is, instead of piloting Gundams, you make your own custom model, and then you rip off limbs of enemy models, and then staple them to yours to make it a better model, I guess. Which isn't inaccurate to the actual model kits. They were they were built modularly. I've built a few. They're fun. So you could take the arms off of, say, the Wing Gundam and staple them to, the Barbatos if you really wanted to, but I don't know, that's taking something from a really cool Gundam and putting it on a less cool Gundam. I've never understood why people like the Barbatos as much as they do. Wart's pilot, I think he's kind of overrated. I mean, he was basically just a berserker. But, yes, someone is using the simulator. I'm guessing it's us. But let's figure this out, people. Oh, yeah. That's my Solo Wing Gundam, except it's completely in the wrong colors. Rocking the, like, 40% Wing Zero, 40% Wing, and, like, 20% Zeta parts. I don't know what the hell weapons these are. Okay, that's what appears to be an original RX-782 shield. No idea what this sword gun thing is, but, okay, so we know this. When you import your save, it will bring your parts over, probably make them as weak as possible for balance, which is fine, but it doesn't keep your customization in terms of visuals, and it doesn't carry over your weapons or shields, which probably also means it doesn't carry over your optional abilities. But it's basically hacky-slashy, kill things that shoot at you, rip off limbs, and if someone rips off your limbs, try and magnetically call them back, I would assume, although no one has broken this Gundam yet. I guess you could kind of say it's a little bit like those crappy Dynasty Warrior Gundam games, except it actually feels like what you're hitting actually has some weight to it, which is funny because you're piloting, of course, a Gundam model kit. So it has significantly less weight, but you can't kill like hundreds in a single swing or anything. You very much have to fight things one-on-one. Okay, so where's the gun? There we go. Okay, so this like gun sword thing is some kind of machine gun, I guess? I am genuinely not sure what weapon this is. I mean, it looks kind of vaguely like the Exia's GN blade, but I don't think that's quite it, because the GN blade had that nice sort of like shield attachment to it. Whereas this is just a gun and a sword. But this feels very much like Gundam Breaker 2, except it's running on next-gen hardware. It's running a little bit faster, frame rate's a little bit nicer. Yeah, it's very much second verse, same as the first, or, you know, third verse, rather. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Gundam Breaker 2 was fun. I don't recall the other one having, like, damage indicating numbers when you hit things, though. They just had health bars. Okay, so... X cross slash. That was a terrible game. Okay, so to utilize your options, you have to hit the enemy enough. If I recall from Gundam Breaker 2, it was just a timing thing. That actually, I think, works better. Because as a timing thing, you could basically just hide if you got into a really scary situation. Whereas, okay, we got manual aiming. It definitely feels like hitting your opponent has weight, which I appreciate over those like Gundam Dynasty Warrior games. Like I hate those Dynasty Warrior games with a passion, but I always buy the Gundam ones because I like Gundam, and they're the only Gundam games we get here in the West outside of like after the PS2 anyway. And even then, PS2 we got like a third as many as like Japan got. Yeah, move to the next area. That's that sign was exactly what it said in the original as well. Yeah, like that looks very much like the GN blade, but it doesn't seem to have like a shield attachment to it. Now you can play with the buttons and tell you what you're doing by highlighting them, or you can just spaz on your controller for fun. We gotta go after Char. Because he's 3 times faster than your standard Zaku. He's also bigger, which means he was probably a master grade. Doms! Now, one thing I did read on the back of the box when I picked this up was it added 20 new Gundams to the roster, or over 20, which in marketing terms means there was probably like 22 it added. Which is weird because the difference between Gundam Breaker 1 and 2, despite not playing one, I did a lot of research on it, was like, it added like 100. Okay. Yeah, so it just chopped off a piece of my arm and it called it back because magnets for plastic. That makes sense. But I quite like this. It feels quite fluid, and, you know, it just feels good hitting things. And while my Gundam is very much not the Gundam I designed, and its weapons are certainly not the weapons I set up for it, you know, I'm having fun. This is good. Okay, we just got the machine part for the Zaku, which means we could slap that onto our machine next. Or we could build it, I forget. It's been a while since I played Gundam Breaker 2. That either means we can build it once we require or acquire like plastic parts, or we can just straight up equip the item because we stole it from them or something. As for what drops and where, I think if it's like Gundam Breaker 2, it's semi-random, but usually it's like higher boss class guys are more guaranteed to drop stuff than like the common grunts. I think. Open up with a cross slash. Certainly not very worried about health in this. Like, they gave me a health repair kit, which is activated with triangle, but I don't ever really feel the need to use it. I mean, I've probably just been using it randomly just because I'm messing around with the controllers a lot, but I don't know. It just... Health does not seem like the biggest issue in this game. And to be fair, it didn't feel like that was all that big of an issue in the previous game either. Until you got to like a boss fight. Oh hey, there's Zeong. That's different. Which means we are probably fighting on Solomon if we're staying in canon. Of course, there's only one Zeong. It was never really completed, which is why it doesn't have legs. And they had to later fan create the perfect Zeon, which had legs, but was still incomplete because its armor was never finished. I really like Gundam. I hope that's coming through. But, yeah, I got super into Gundam Breaker 2, and it's basically... It doesn't feel quite as good as Gacha Force, but I think it feels truer to, like, the Gundam vs. Zeta Gundam Gacha Force style gameplay that I wanted from the Gundam Versus series after Zeta. And I imported Gundam Versus for the PS3, and I was really disappointed when I really realized it was like a 2-on-2 fighting game. Okay, now I gotta fight like an area boss. Music's really good. Is that the Gabera Tetra? It's kind of nice they're putting faces to, like, the bosses, because they didn't do that in the first game. It was really just random guys who were beating on. I'm breaking you. Yep, Gabera Tetra. I still got it, and it was from a Gundam series I don't really think all that highly of, and therefore only watched, like, twice. I'll just break your guard. Oh, that was not good. At least he's willing to pull out a special move or two. Oh, it's very much over. Oh, that's bad. I'll admit I like that sword. Where are you? Ooh. I got a head. Don't lose your head, friend. Oh, that's a scary move. And that's what happens when you don't put your heart into building your model kits, people. Because Gunpla is about freedom, but it's also about heart and spirit and friendship and nonsense. At least that's what Gundam Build Fighters taught me. And I mean, this is basically the game for it. What was that one quote from that one really terrible Gundam Age? Life is about youth, friendship, love, and mobile suits. That's what I come to the table with. That was fun. That was one battle and I'm already way into this. That was great. And it was a 15-minute battle. That's kind of crazy. At least 15 minutes according to the recording. Diffuse boot tackle. Oh, that's like the old school Zaku shoulder charge. Ooh, Heat Hawk. Oh, that's a cool sword. From the Ale Strike. As much as I do like to shit on Seed, Seed had some good things. Things it mostly stole from the original Gundam series, but still, it had some good things. Strike Noir, that was good. Aegis, again, good. Blitz, good. Yeah, because I'm probably the best Gundam ever. My Gundam. I'm not on a team. I'm a team of one. Also, shameless Barbatos plug in the background. No. Department stores entering the space industry. That's a bit of a jump. That's a stupid name for a Gunpla team. Can I say no and that I'd like to be a team of one, please? Hobby shop. Way nicer than anything around here. Also, that's a lot of Strike Noir HG kits. And I know that because I have one sitting next to me. Maybe when I'm done I'm going to put that together. I've been excited about that. Lightning Gundam, Bear Guy, Burning Gundam, lots of plugs for the Build Fighters series that no one liked. Hey, the Kshatriya. I have the Stark Jagan. That's a better machine, and it should have won that fight. I didn't agree to team up with you. I'm a team of one. Oh, right, I wanna see what the customization options are in this game. At level 1, yeah, so my Gunpla is back, but it's weenie version now. Additional DLC, yeah. Okay, so that's my Solo Wing Gundam, except it looks crap. Let's see if we can fix that. Setup. Yes, that's what I want. Paint. Crap. Japanese game, right. O is it? Confirm, X is deny. I will never get used to that. Such a dumb thing. Okay. I'd like to learn how to weather at some point. Okay. All units. Coloring. We'll crank out the white. Apply changes and close. We will start by making everything white and see where that comes from and see what happens after. Triangle and left stick. That's dumb. Ooh, gloss and metallic finish. Apply changes. We'll have to play with that. Whoops. Oh, god damn it. Again. X and O mixed up, and it's the stupidest thing ever. Okay, so we're going to go down here. We're going to turn that out. Apply. And, whoops. Okay, I'm seriously sorry about this. This is just horrible. We could almost claim my machine was piloted by Wolf Enicle. Okay. Yes. Now we're going to go... Oh, glow color. Glow color we want... Whoops. I remember my glow was sort of a dark blue affair. Yeah, that looks good. I'm actually trying to build this Gundam with the actual gunpla kits, but it's not working so well because I'm working with red parts and I have to paint them white. And that leaves stuff mostly pink, which is frustrating. Granted, I'm hardly a modeling expert. I'm just trying to do the best with what I got. Okay, these ones... I don't like that color very much. Well, we'll go for more of a... That was not what I meant to do. Let's go after saturation. Turn down the blue a little. Yeah, okay. Let's make that work. Okay, weapon design. I don't care, that's not my weapon. Again, don't care, that's not my weapon. Head parts. Let's see what we can do with this. Now, we want to turn on gloss and metallics, because why not? 60 looks kind of shiny. We'll go with, yeah, we'll go with 60 for metallics. That part, yeah, again, crank it. Crank it up to 60. I'm going to be doing this for a while, I'm sure. This part is that part we can return to being red. Because it's a Gundam chin, you don't mess with that shit. That part is a Gundam V-fin, again, you don't mess with that shit. You tend to go with gold. Well, if you're actually working with the model kits, I can tell you use a really shitty yellow that I hate with a passion. So we're going to go with like a gold yellow. Because every time I work with like one of those terrible yellow colors, I paint it gold. Light changes. That's... I think we could probably go with black, actually. Accentuate the eyes a little bit, maybe? Okay, and then this, of course, was red. It was more of a 60. Okay. Yeah. Oops. We're not done yet, game. Paint. Okay, so body type. Okay, that's that. So, yeah, white would be what we want. Crank up the gloss on that to 60. That part. Again, can be white. I'm building this off memory, but I designed this specific Gundam design I created when I was a kid, so I kind of already know what it looks like. I'm just sort of working with what I have in the game to make it kind of, sort of similar. Oops. Yeah, no, that's fine. Those parts would be... And we'll throw gold on. And of course, that down to 60. Actually, might look better red. Yeah, we'll keep that as red. Down to 60. Yes, apply changes. Crank that up. And that is, I have no idea what this is. I have no idea, I'm not touching it. Now, arms. This is one thing I didn't like about the first game, and it apparently persists here, is you can't color the arms independently. Which would probably only ever bother me. But it was something that did, in fact, bother me. Okay. Let's see what that would look like in red. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Again, we will paint that red. That part is white. I have a very simple paint job. This part was silver, I remember that. Yeah, there we go. And this part, these were gold. Yep, that looks good. Now the legs. These are... Yep, they were red. Yes. These are red. And I'm sure no one's listening at this point, but this is kind of a big deal to me. I'm crazy about customization, so I gotta check this stuff out and make sure it's as customizable as it possibly can be, because I'm really, really crazy about that. Okay, those are thrusters, so you paint them gold, of course. Although you could take this as a lesson in creating paint jobs for model kits, I guess. But I'm sure I'm the only one here, which is fine. And I'll leave that there for contrast, although normally the bottoms of feet in Gundam tend to be red. This is backpack. So this would be that part. Actually, we'll turn that gold. Crank that up. Yeah, that looks good. That we will keep at white. That I'd like to keep it white as well. These will be white. And that too shall be white. The only thing maybe would be... Actually, yeah, let's turn that red. That looks really good. Just crank that up and turn that down. And yeah, that's more or less my Gundam. Well, that's about as close to my Gundam as this'll let us get anyway. So let's take this thing out for a spin, shall we? To the mission counter. Oh, you can change the difficulty level. That's interesting. In the previous game, difficulty was stuck depending on what level you picked. So each thing was a set thing. Okay, this is a dumb thing. You have to hold, in this game, options to start. And it's nice that they tell you this in English, but in Gundam Breaker 2, of course, it wasn't. You had to, like, just hold it down and hope, but the only indicator just said the start button, so I figured press it. But instead that just brings up options and left me very confused for about an hour. There we go. That's much better. My badass Gundam. Taking off. I will say I'm disappointed in one thing, though. They still don't have flying in this game. That was something they needed to add. I don't really need to practice. It's somewhat tactical button mashing and understanding how to activate your abilities. Oh, hey, the Ultron. Or was that the Dragon Gundam? It's hard to tell. They were kind of designed the same. I do like the Gym Command space type. That's a nice machine. Oh, my shield took the rest of my paint job. Yeah, that's the Dragon Gundam, not the Ultron. Oh, they do have the same paint job, too. They're both green and gold. And they're both mobile suits I don't care much for. But, yeah. Gundam Breaker 2. It's more of the same, but on next-gen consoles, which is fine. Because, while it is more or less tactical button mashing, and not quite as strategic as the Gundam Versus games, this feels closer to the original Gundam Versus games than, like, the newer ones do. And while I'm definitely going to get the new Gundam Versus, I'm honestly not all that enthused about it because I'm sure it's basically not going to be like what I remember Gundam Versus as being. And will instead be what I know Gundam Versus has become. And those are two very different things. One of those things makes me very happy, the other kind of makes me sad. It's kind of like the Wing Gundam versus the Wing Zero and the Wing Zero Custom. And this actually goes back to a Gundam video I made that you'll never see, talking about why I love one Gundam so much and hate the others so much. And imagine, if you will, the Wing Gundam is kind of like a cute girl at a party just doing her own thing, okay? She's cute, and she's getting some attention, but, you know, there's nothing big about it. She's not going out and trying to get as much attention as possible. She's just, you know, naturally getting attention because, in the case of Gundam, it's a nice-looking mobile suit. If you took away the Wing Gundam's gimmicks of its wings, its rifle, and its transformation, you'd still have an objectively beautiful machine. And then you've got the Wing Zero, which is like a similarly cute girl at a party, but hanging around near, like, the drink table or whatever. She's still cute, and she's still doing her own thing. She's still not really hunting for attention or anything, but she's getting significantly more because she's around a much flashier thing, and it's like that with the Wing Zero as well. It's basically the Wing, which is still good, but it's designed to be a lot flashier. And I don't necessarily like that. And then you've got, like, the horrible Hajime Katoki designed Endless Waltz Wing Zero Custom, which I've always, using the same analogy, akin to a drunken woman stumbling about at a party who's desperately trying to get attention. It's not attractive, it's getting attention, but no one wants to, like, actively give it attention, and yet is still weirdly popular with people. I don't get it. Like, I just actively hate the Wing Zero. And part of that is because the Wing Gundam is just such a big part of Gundam to me. I mean, it was literally the first Gundam North America ever saw. I remember the first time I saw the Wing Gundam, I snuck out of bed when my parents told me I had to be sleeping, just so I could watch this new show Gundam that I saw an ad for. And seeing the Wing Gundam, it was like, wow, this is the greatest robot I've ever seen. And to this day, I still think that. So the Wing Gundam is pretty important to me. And that's part of why I guess I'm biased against the Wing Zero Custom, but I just hate those stupid wings and the rest of its design so much. I don't know, I guess you're allowed to like whatever you like, but I'm always going to like what I like, and it's not going to be the same thing. You can like the Wing Zero Custom as much as you want, just keep it as far away from me and we'll be just fine. I'll stick with my awesome Gundam, thank you. But yes, if you've ever wondered why I absolutely hate the Wing Gundam but love the Wing, or hate the Wing Zero Custom but love the Wing, it's that. It takes something that's very beloved to me and kind of distorts it and perverts it, I guess. It would be the best way of describing it. And it's a weird idea in general that it even exists. I mean, hey, we have this thing that's really popular. Let's make a movie on it. Okay. Let's redesign everything that everyone liked from it. That makes less sense. And let's hire a guy who didn't do any of those designs originally. That makes absolutely no sense. Why would you ever do that? But yes. Endless Waltz, we just pretend it doesn't happen. Because, like, the one Endless Waltz design that was actually good was, like, the Death Scythe Hell, and even then, original Death Scythe was way better. But I will say, if you can't afford Gundam Breaker 3, you could get Gundam Breaker 2 and get basically the same experience. Uh-oh, I should probably use my repair. Yeah, repair power. Look at me using my special options. Like I know what I'm doing. And I'm not just bitching about the Wing Zero Custom for the infinitieth time. Although to be fair, I feel I'm completely in the right when bitching about the Wing Zero Custom. That thing is awful. Also, original Wing Gundam, designed by the guy who made the RX-782 Gundam that we're fighting right now. He came up with the original as well as the Wing. He knew what he was doing. Although if we're playing that card, the guy who came up with the Wing Zero Custom designed the Stark Jagan, so I guess somewhere along the way I gotta give Hajime Katoki some slack, even if I don't want to. Now, let's see if there's health in this box. There is not, and I'm in trouble. Armor repair! Haha. Now, from what I remember from Gundam Breaker 2, that was actually like just a thing that you could just use whenever. It wasn't on a timer, but you had limited numbers. I don't know if you got limited numbers here. Oh, yeah. They still have that. That's the little wrench icon by my health bar in the bottom left. That's just mapped to a different button. Okay, so this would be more like activating 0 or something then, which was a special thing you had to equip to your thing and then activate it under special circumstances. Okay, fair enough. I withdraw my complaint, game. You are still doing everything from the previous iteration, but on next-gen consoles, which is fine. Yeah, no, I definitely think that is some variation of the GN sword, although it doesn't quite look like it has the shield, so I'm guessing it's like the GN sword repair or something. I don't know. I didn't watch a lot of the second season of 00 because it was nowhere near as good as the first season. And don't you get me started on that movie. Hey, let's solve it with a Deus Ex Machina, and even better, let's do it with one you don't see. I mean, the series already lost me when they made their least interesting character the protagonist, but, I mean, for the hell of it, because I think we already get what this game's all about, let's just go over 00's protagonists and talk about why every other one would have been better than Setsuna. Let's see, you've got Alleluia, the guy who's got, like, 2 personalities and is a super soldier, and was, like, experimented on since he was a kid. That's interesting. You've got Tieria, the guy who has to hide among humanity despite not really being human. That's interesting. You've got Lock-On Stratus, the guy who's got a massive chip on his shoulder but is never allowed to show it because he has to be the team leader with a calm head. That's interesting. And then you've got Setsuna, who is really the least interesting character ever, who is basically complete with that personality. And yeah, he's got an interesting backstory, I guess, but they really don't play out much of it into his actual character. He's just sort of there the entire time. Aside from the fact that he seems to want to have sex with his own Gundam. Or be his own Gundam. I don't know. Setsuna was a weird kid. I like literally every other character but Setsuna. Hell, Patrick Kulisar or Graham Aker, they would have been way better protagonists. I mean, hell, Patrick Kulisar, he was an asshole, but you kind of rooted for him by the end of it, despite how much of a scumbag he kind of was. And Graham was just kind of amazing. But I really... Setsuna was a character in an ocean of really interesting characters that he just didn't remotely come close to. That looked like the Shining Gundam, or the Burning Gundam, but I don't remember either of those having a staff. And these are the Zagox, one of Zeon's many, many very awkward, wimpy aquatic suits. I mean, seriously, they had two good aquatic suits. They had the Gog and the High Gog, or the Zoc and the High Gog, rather. But they were all just kind of awkward and bad. I mean, the Ack guy was terrible. The Zagok at least kind of has an awkward charm to it. But it's not great looking by any means. Cross slash. Oh, this is fun though. Like it is mindless, but I really like this. I like building my own Gundam. I like customizing it. I know that's probably not the most interesting to watch, but it was fun for me. And you know, this definitely is button mashy, but it still feels closer to the old Versus Gundam games than the actual Versus Gundam games are getting nowadays. So I think in the long run, I'd probably say this is a better successor to Gundam Versus than Gundam Versus is at this point. Oh yeah, the Shining Gundam, or the God Gundam, or whatever. The one they had to change the name of. Oh wait, that was supposed to... I didn't watch a lot of Mobile Fighter G, okay? Which is weird, because that's actually where wing designs came from initially. Because they were all designed around like the theme of a country, as were some of the early wing designs, such as the Wing Gundam itself, which I think was actually based on an early design for the Burning Gundam, or the Shining Gundam, or the God Gundam, or whatever. Yeah, well, Gundam is fun. Gundam is fun. Gunpla is fun. If you're not into Gundam, I don't know why you're watching this, but you know, get into Gundam. It's great. Building the model kits, it's fun. I mean, this is just basically a giant advertisement for the model kits, but so was the Gundam Build Fighters anime series, and that was largely very good. So long as you ignore the second season, try. And, I mean, hell, at this point, I think Build Fighters is making more money for all of Gundam than actual Gundam is. Given that, like, what is it, Twilight Axis is a thing. And I've watched a few episodes of Twilight Axis, and that is not a goddamn thing is happening in that. And ironically, coming back to how this is all about model kits and stuff, I have the Twilight Axis model kit, the Tristan, and that's a very lazily designed thing. Because it's lacking a lot of modern touches, but it's trying to be a remake of an old kit, just like the actual robot it's based off is. But anyway, this has been Gundam Breaker 3 Chinese Break Edition. I hope you learned what the hell this game is, and if not, well, you got to watch me nerd out over Gundam for the better part of an hour. And that's fun, too. Anyway, if you can get this game, yeah, it's pretty fun, and because it is a PS4 game, it is region-free, so you could put it on your PS4 if you're in America. I believe there was also a Vita version, but the Breaker version, or Break Edition version of it, apparently does not come with the DLC pre-installed. It's on a download voucher, and you'd need to get like a Chinese PSN account to download it, which would require an extra memory card for your Vitas, so that's just a whole headache. Basically, get this if you got the PS4, and if you can't afford that, get the PS3 version of Gundam Breaker 2. That's a fun game too, and it's largely the same game, which is fine, because it's a pretty fantastic game. Anyway, I will see you guys next time, and I hope you enjoyed this.